Hi, I'm Kathy Long, 5-time world kickboxing champion, and I'd like to welcome you to the Championship Kickboxing video series. I'm sure you're watching this video because you're interested in getting involved in the sport of kickboxing, or you're looking for a great way to get in shape while learning something fun and practical. There are many reasons for learning the skills of kickboxing, but it's important that you learn how to do it right. I'm going to share with you the many different aspects of kickboxing that I've learned and used over the years to become a world champion. We will also go over areas of conditioning and diet that will get your body into fantastic shape. But most of all, we're going to show you that kickboxing can be fun and exciting. In this first video, we're going to cover the fundamentals of kickboxing training techniques that will give you the optimum conditioning benefits. Throughout the next hour, we're going to cover how you should warm up before you train, the basic types of kicks and punches in kickboxing and how to do them correctly, how to use focus mitts, Thai pads, and a heavy bag for the most benefit. And I will give you some tips on creating your own training regimen that will help you increase your stamina and improve your skill as a kickboxer. The training program is designed for individual workouts or going through exercises with a workout partner. You're going to need a few pieces of equipment as you start your kickboxing training. You'll need a pair of hand wraps to protect your hands and possibly a pair of leg pads for your shin and insteps. You may also consider buying a pair of bag gloves for bag work and training. I would strongly recommend getting a good jump rope. Jumping rope is one of the best ways of warming up while learning hand and foot coordination. Even though they're not necessary, a pair of Thai pads will be well worth the investment because they teach you how to strike your target with power, and they're great for getting rid of that excess aggression. You may also want to buy a set of focus mitts. We will be showing you how to correctly use all the equipment throughout this video. The first subject that we're going to go over is, in my opinion, one of the most important and one of the most neglected areas of training, and that's the warm-up. Before you start any training exercise, it is critical that you prepare your body in order to prevent injuries. Do not skip your warm-up, because believe me, you'll pay for it later. In this video, we're not going to go through a complete warm-up, but I'm going to give you some ideas of what you can do. One of the best warm-up exercises is jumping rope. Anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes of jumping rope will warm up the calf, thigh, forearm, and shoulder muscles. It is a great all-around warm-up that also teaches you hand and foot coordination. If you have access to a stationary bicycle, make use of it. About 10 minutes on the bike at a good pace will get the blood flowing and warm up the muscle groups that you will be using later. If you don't have access to exercise equipment, warm up by running in place, light calisthenics, or shadow boxing. The whole purpose of the warm-up is to get your body ready for some physical strain, so don't be afraid to sweat. 3 to 5 minutes of any of these exercises will work as a great warm-up. After you have finished your warm-up, it's now time to stretch your muscles. I'm going to show you a few stretches that will help aid your flexibility, which is very important for kickboxing, and will also help you prevent any injuries. The first stretch I'm going to show you, you need to take your feet, place them a little farther than shoulder width apart. Keep your legs straight. You put your hands down on the ground, keeping your back as straight as possible and your chin pointing forward. It's very important that you remember to relax and breathe as you do this. And hold your position for about 20 seconds. From here, take your right knee and bend it. Again, keeping your back straight. Remember to breathe and hold this also for about 20 seconds. Now to the left. Good. From here, place your feet up on your heels and spread your legs out as wide as you possibly can. And walk it back very slowly to a seated position. Good. From here, reach your hands forward, very slowly walk them forward, keep your back straight. Remember to breathe and don't overextend. Now walk your hands over to the right. Now over to the left. From here, one more time back to the center. Keep in mind you want to relax and breathe and hold this for a good length of time. Okay, this next stretch that I'm going to show you, if you have a workout partner, is a great way to work it with him or her. Your partner is going to pull their feet in as close to the body as they can. Again, you want to relax and breathe. You're going to take your hands and place them on their knees and push down very gently. Something that's very good to remember, your partner should let you know which is too far or which is not. So you don't want to injure anybody. Now from here, while I give it a little bit of resistance, my partner is going to push up with his knees. And then he'll relax, and I'll push down just a tiny bit farther. This should enable him to stretch just a little bit more. Remember, you need to relax and breathe and hold this for at least 20 seconds. And from here, I want to very slowly let him up, and we'll go on to the next stretch. And the final stretch that I'm going to show you, your partner is going to place their feet straight out in front. Again, keep the back as straight as possible. You're going to take your hands and place them on the middle to lower back and gently push forward. You don't want to push down, just forward. Your partner should remember to relax, breathe, and hold it for a little while. These are just a few of the stretches you should be doing before training. I recommend going to the library and finding a few good books on proper stretching techniques. Good flexibility is critical for a kickboxer, and it would be a real payoff for you to learn how to do it correctly. Again, I can't say it enough. Don't skip the stretch portion of your warm-up. I've pulled muscles before, and it's not fun. Now that you've finished your warm-up and your stretch, it's time to get out your hand wraps and go to work. There are many different ways of wrapping your hands to keep them protected. Here's one way that I've learned how. One of the important things to remember about wrapping the hand is you want to keep the wrist, the back of the hand, and the knuckles supported. As I do this, I'm going to start on the back of my hand, going down my wrist about 3 times. Leaving a little bit of space in between. And come back up and go across the back of my hand. As I do this, I go across my knuckles. Always say 4 or 5 times. You want to get some good padding in there. Now from here, I'm going to crisscross back across the back of my hand, again supporting the bones in the hand. I'm going to come up, going in between the fingers. Now this is an optional thing, you don't have to, but I like to. And here I'm going to in between the ring and the middle finger, and then in between the middle and the first finger. And come up, go across the back of the hand, and over the knuckles a couple more times. One more time, back down across. Maybe going to the wrist, back up. Just get that nice constant crisscross support on the back of the hand and then across on the knuckles. And when it's all done, coming back down to the wrist. Now this hand wrap should feel snug, but not too snug. You don't want your circulation getting cut off on your hands. You have cross support here, you have cross support on your knuckles, and support on your wrist, and you're ready to go. Before we go into our next section of the table, I want to show you the on-guard position. It's very important. Your left foot is forward. Okay? Your right foot is in the back and it's up on the ball. Your knees should be bent. Your feet should be about shoulder length apart. Your hands are up in a good on-guard position here. Your left hand is just under the eye level so you can see what's going on. Your right hand is by your cheek, or on the telephone as we like to call it. I'm going to start by teaching you some very basic kicks that you'll be using in your kickboxing training. Now I know a lot of people are more comfortable using their hands and their feet, but you'll find that this is a very valuable way of training and it'll get you in great shape. There are 4 basic kicks that I'm going to be teaching you as you go through this video. That will be the front kick, the side kick, the roundhouse kick, and the spinning back kick. Now the front kick can be done with either the lead leg or the rear leg. I'm going to shift my weight back and shoot forward if I'm striking with my front leg. If I'm striking with my rear leg here, I chamber my knee up, I shoot my foot out, striking with the ball of the foot, and then back in and down. Things to remember: you don't want to leave your foot out there. It's easy for them to catch, and it's easy for them to react to something. Okay? Once I kick, I bring it back in and I set it down. Keeping the hands up the whole time. The last thing you want to do is dropping hands while you're throwing a kick. If you do that, they can either pass it by and punch you in the face, and you don't want that to happen. So my hands are up, foot shoots up, out, back in and down. That's the front leg. The rear leg, I bring it up, shoot out, back in, and down. Once again, striking with the ball of the foot. Now the side kick is probably one of the hardest kicks to get a hold of, to get right. If I'm doing it with my lead leg, I chamber my knee up. But the most important thing to remember is that my rear foot, which is up on the ball at this point before I start, is going to come down, pointing sideways. I chamber my knee up here, pointing my heel at my target. My foot shoots out, I strike, back in and down. Once again, my rear foot will come back up on the ball. I'm going to keep the knees bent the whole time. There's a lot of things to remember. So let's go over them. As I shift my weight back, my rear foot will come down. My knee chambers up, pointing my heel at my target. My foot shoots out, back in, and then down. Settling back down in my on-guard position. Keeping the hands up. One more time. Back, make sure the foot's solid, flat on the ground, knee is slightly bent. Chamber the knee, pointing my heel at my target. Foot shoots out, back in, and down. Now for the rear foot, same sort of action. I'm going to pivot, and as I do, here's the hard part. The base foot has to turn. If it doesn't turn, I'm going to be throwing a side kick like this. I'm going to be off balance, and I'm not going to know what to do. So the lead foot needs to turn as I chamber for my side kick. Chamber, kick, back in, and down. Once again, my knee comes around as my foot chambers, out, back in, and down. The foot has to pivot. If it doesn't pivot, it's not going to work. One more time. Bring my knee up and around as my foot pivots. Foot shoots out, back in, and down. And the roundhouse kick can be done with, again, either the lead leg or the rear leg. If I'm going to be kicking with my rear leg, let's say we're going to kick him in the outside of the thigh. Keep my hands up. I bring my knee up. My front foot has to pivot outward in the direction that I'm going for my kick. My knee comes up, I pivot, I strike with my shin, come back in, and I set it down. Once again, my knee comes up, around, back in, and down. Keep the hands up the whole time. Again, this is very easy for him to shoot a right cross into your face as I throw my kick. If my hands are down, I'm an open target. Okay, hands up. By the way, keeping the hands up will also work the shoulders. It's a good thing for you. Come up, around, kick, and back down. The whole time, my front foot is pivoting. Now this can be taken again to the leg, to the ribs, or to the head. If I come up to the ribs, it's the same motion. If I come up to the head, again, it's the same motion. My knee comes up, my foot pivots, I come around, I strike, and I bring it back down. If I'm striking with my lead leg, I can come into the inside of the leg, to the ribs, or to the head. Sorry. Watch again. I'm going to lean back. My foot has to pivot. Turn, kick. Either with the shin to the lower or middle part of the body, and with the top of my ankle to the head. The spinning back kick. I'm going to start with my foot, my lead foot, facing my opponent. As I do so, for my spinning back kick to set up for it, I'm going to turn my feet, my hips, and my shoulders, and I'm going to look over my shoulder here. My right foot in this case is going to shoot back, generally striking into the solar plexus. It's very hard to shoot a spinning back kick higher than the solar plexus, really. I mean, it can be done, but then it just turns into a side kick, and that's a lot of technical things. So again, my hands are up. My feet are in a good strong guard position, a little bit more than shoulder width apart. I'm going to turn. Okay, my foot shoots back and kick. Make sure that you look over your shoulder. If you don't, you're going to be kicking wildly and you're not going to know what's going to happen. Okay, you need to aim for your target every single time. My hands are up. I turn. I look over my shoulder. I see my target, and I kick. One more time. My hands up. I turn. I look over my shoulder. I see my target, and I kick. One more time. Turn, kick, look over my shoulder, and kick. Now that you've seen me demonstrate some basic mechanics for kicks, we're going to kick something. First, my opponent's going to hold some Thai pads. If I'm going to be throwing a front kick or a side kick, he can either hold them together in front of him or he can cross them in front like so. Okay? This way it gives him protection and it allows me to kick my target with as much power and speed as I'd like. For now, we're just going to have him hold cross like this. For the front kick, again, lead leg front kick, my knees are bent, rear foot's up on the ball, my hands are up. I'm going to lean back and shoot the kick forward. Once again, lean back and shoot the kick forward. It's always fun when your partner's holding the pads to see how much you can kick him back. Hands up. Now, even though you're trying to kick hard at this point, you want to remember the mechanics. Strike with the ball of the foot, chamber the knee up, keep the hands up, and shoot out. Back in and down. Don't leave your foot out there. With the rear leg, here. Hands up, the knee chambers up, my foot turns slightly sideways. That allows the hips to go through. My foot shoots out, striking with the ball of the foot. Back in and down with a little speed. Something that I didn't mention before when I was going over the mechanics is that when you're striking, you want to breathe out. A lot of people tend to hold their breath when they're doing something. That can get you into a lot of trouble. It can tire you out and it'll make you feel terrible. Hands up. Breathe out when you're striking. Keep the hands up. Striking with the ball of the foot. Back in and down. See, now for the side kick. Since he's already in this position, we'll just go from here. I bring my knee up, I shoot out, and I kick. One more time, bring the knee up, turn, chamber the knee so the heel is pointing at the target, shoot out, back in and down. The rear leg, why don't you go ahead and turn the pads this way. Good. Hands up, my knee chambers around. That means my lead foot has to pivot. I point my heel at my target, my foot shoots out, back in and down. For this kick, you can either strike with the knife edge or the heel. I prefer the heel. It's a lot stronger, a lot harder to use. A lot harder on them to use. Foot comes around, back in and down. One more time. Now for the roundhouse kick. Again, I was saying earlier, you can strike to the leg, to the ribs, or to the head. If I strike to the leg, he's going to take his left hand while he's in his arm guard position and place it on the side of his leg here. Now, very important, he doesn't take his knuckles and place it here, otherwise he's going to have a nice bruise after a while. He places just the side of the pad here along the side of his leg. This way I can practice my kicks with some good speed and strength. My hands are up, I'm on my on guard position, my knee comes up, I pivot around, I strike with my shin, back in and down. Again, up, around, striking with the shin, back in and down, keeping the hands up the whole time with a little speed and a little power. One more time, knee comes up, foot shoots around, I pivot on the ball of my base foot, come back in and set my foot down. Again, keep the hands up, breathe out when you strike. Now for the spinning back kick, he can either hold the pads up here or across. Either way is more comfortable. My hands are up, I turn, I look over my shoulder, I strike with my foot, straight back. My hands are up, I'm going to turn on my feet, I look over my shoulder, and I strike back. Again, breathing out of that strike, one more time. Again with speed. It's very important that you work each of your kicks for 2 or 3 minutes at a time. So we've got 4 basic kicks, 2 or 3 minutes for each one. When you're done with that, switch legs. You don't want to do just one leg. After all of that, switch with your partner so that he can get his full workout. And don't be afraid to sweat. It's good for you. That's what you bought the tape for. First punch we'll show you is the jab. The jab is your lead hand, or your lead punch. It's going to come from your body straight out. Make sure the elbow doesn't come forward at all. It doesn't come out. As it comes out, you're just going to turn flat at the very last second. Your chin should be tucked into your shoulder here. Your right hand should be up, protecting your face. And once again, your knees are bent, your right foot is up on the ball, and you're looking straight ahead. Once again, that's your jab. As it comes out and straight back. The elbow doesn't come out at all. That's later for the hook. Jab comes straight out, turns at the last second. Your chin should be tucked into your shoulder, your hand up in a good arm guard position, guarding your face, back in and down. The cross, which is the right hand, it travels across the body. Your body needs to pivot some as your shoulders come across. The right hand shoots out, straight out. Once again, the elbow doesn't come out on this one either. Straight back in and down. Straight out, back and down. You'll do a slight pivoting with your hips and your shoulders as you do this. Left hand is up, right underneath your eye, protecting your face. Right punch comes straight out and back. Once again, the elbow doesn't come out. For the hook, that's a little difficult. We're going to work on the feet. As you do that, your knees are bent. You're going to turn your whole body, and your right heel is going to turn down, step down, as your left heel comes up. Keep the knees bent. Once again, the body turns, the right heel comes down, the left heel comes up, your knees stay bent. Now for the punch, the arm stays bent at a 90-degree angle, turns, and punches straight out. Should look just like this when you're finished. Back in. Once again, you turn, your right heel goes down, left heel comes up, the knees stay bent, and the hook comes out. From here, we're going to throw a right uppercut. Knees bend, I'm going to turn slightly if I'm going to throw the right punch, and come straight up. I'm not going to be doing a big looping punch. By the time I get my hand back here, they're going to be punching me in the face, and I don't want that. Once again, my hands are up. I bend my knees slightly, I turn, and I lift straight up, back and down. And I'm ready back in my arm guard position. Bend the knees, turn, lift up, back, and back in my arm guard position. Remember, do these punches slowly at first. Get the mechanics. If you've got a mirror in front of you, do it in front of that for a while. That way you can see the mistakes that you're making. We'll go over all these one more time. The jab, straight out and back. The cross, straight out, your body turning slightly and back. The elbows do not come out. On the hook, my body turns, my feet turn, and my hook comes across. My arm should stay bent. On the uppercut, I bend my knees, I turn slightly, I lift up. If I'm going to do the left side, which I didn't cover, I bend, I turn slightly again, I lift straight up and back down. It doesn't come from down here. It starts from my face, up and out, and back to my face. And keep yourself protected the whole time. The last punch I'm going to show you is the overhand, which I'm going to call the overhand right. I wanted to bring my partner in so that you could see a little bit of the mechanics on how to get this in. A lot of people say, if I'm standing out here at this range, it's going to be very difficult to get the punch in, so you need to move in close. As I step in, my hand's going to come up, around, and almost half circles over, striking downward onto the chin or the temple or even the side of the neck. So again, I'm here. I'm going to lean in slightly or step in slightly. As I do that, my lead foot steps, my right foot slides with it, my right hand comes in a half circle around, striking downward onto the chin, the neck, or the temple, whichever you can get. Now that you've seen the basic mechanics of punches, I'm going to work them on focus mitts. Now these are something that you don't necessarily have to have. You can work your punches on just the tie pads that you saw earlier. But for now, we have the focus mitts, and we're going to use them. Something that I have are bag gloves, and I highly recommend using them whenever you're going to be punching anything. Even though you've wrapped your hands and you've got nice protection, it's always good to have that little extra. Make sure your hands are safe. First thing we're going to do is a jab. Now, my partner can either hold up his left hand or his right hand for the jab. I prefer the right hand myself. He's going to hold that up a little closer to his own body. Okay. Something you want to keep that's very important, keep this in mind, is that when I'm punching, I want to punch pretty much at face level. So he doesn't want to hold the pad way up here. Okay? It's going to be very difficult to punch that, unless you're fighting some giant. My hands are up, I'm in my arm guard position. If I'm going to throw my jab, it comes straight out, strikes, and back in. Remember, as you do these, when you start, go slowly, work the mechanics, relax, and breathe. Slowly, work the mechanics, relax, and breathe. Those are four very important points to remember. My hands are up, out, and back in. There's nothing wrong with going at least this slowly, just so you learn how to do it right. You're going to work your mechanics, you want to work your breath, you want to work your accuracy. And your hands are up, your hands are going to shoot straight out and back. This is your jab. Straight out and back in. Even this slowly is a good thing to work. That way you get the mechanics and he gets the idea of how to hold the mitts. Out and back in. Later on, when you get a little more comfortable, you can move forward or back or sideways as you're working your jab with a little bit of flick. Remember, keep the elbow in. That's a hard thing to remember when you're going fast and hard. You want to come out and do that. It's very sloppy. Keep the elbow in, straight out, and straight back. Remember to breathe out as you're striking. Now, if I can, from here, I can throw a jab-cross combination. I can throw jab or cross. Now, I can cross on the right mitt, or I can cross on the left, or I can throw jab on the left and cross on the right. But to keep it from being very confusing, I'm just going to have jab cross on the right mitt. Jab. As my jab comes back in, my cross is going to be traveling outward. I do not want to loop my jab, which is a very common mistake that a lot of beginning fighters do. They jab and they drop it down and bring it back. By that time, your opponent can be smashing you in the face or kicking you. Hands up, straight out, straight back. Remember, straight out, straight back. Now for the hook. The hook, by its nature, because it's circular, is also a very in-tight punch. You can't throw it from way out here. You can, but it's not nearly as effective. He holds his left hand up, and he turns it slightly inward here. That way he's catching it, just like a catcher's mitt would catch a ball. So I throw my jab, my cross, and from here, I can turn and hook. Several different combinations you can work are jab, or cross, hook, or cross, hook, cross, cross, hook, cross, or jab, cross, hook, or jab, hook. Remember the most important thing, breathe, bring your hand back to your face, don't loop your punches, and just relax and have a good time. Remember to work each of these punches for about 2 or 3 minutes at a time so you get a good workout. When you're done, switch with your partner. It's very important that you work these punches as slowly and as accurately as you possibly can. It's going to take a long time before they're second nature. I know, it took me a long time. If you're fortunate enough to have a heavy bag at your disposal, I'm going to show you some great tips on how to use it properly. Again, whenever you're working the heavy bag or any object that you're going to be punching, it's always the best idea to have your hands wrapped as well as having mitts on. Now my partner here is going to hold one end of the bag. I'm going to be working my punches and kicks. I'm going to show you several combinations that you can use while you're working the bag and a little bit of defensive moves as well. I can work my jab crosses while he's holding the bag, and from there I can throw, let's say, a jab cross leg kick or rib kick, either one. Or I can throw jab cross, and I can take my lead leg and throw that same roundhouse kick coming around this way. I can work jab cross, hook, and then follow with a kick. Boom. Something that we'll get into later and perhaps in another video is how to always finish with a leg kick or a kick of some sort. Jab cross, kick. Or I can throw a front kick, followed with the jab cross. Very important, you want to work your range, okay? Just like you're working the tie pads and the focus mitts. You don't want to be too close, that's going to take away all your power. You don't want to be too far away, you're going to hyperextend your elbows. Find a good medium distance. Jab cross, leg kick, or rib kick. Jab cross hook, leg kick. Front kick, followed with jab cross. Something else you can get into that's very important when working heavy bag is some defensive moves. One that's most important, keep your hands up. I'm here, I want to throw the jab, always bring it back to your face. You can pretend like this is a person here, and they're throwing jabs at you, and you can bob and weave and duck, okay? Or they're throwing kicks, you can check the kicks, or blocking this way as you're working around here. Just every now and then, make a slight movement, as if someone's throwing a punch at you. Here. Kickboxing is one of the most physically demanding sports existing today. You're using almost every muscle in the body, and that's being pushed to the limit every time you get in the ring. So what that means is you're going to have to get in shape. And that requires that you're going to have to develop a workout program that is best used for all your kickboxing skills. Cardiovascular exercising is very important for your kickboxing development. Some exercises you might consider doing are the stair stepper, the stationary bike, or running. It's important to do at least 20 to 30 minutes of any one of these exercises with about a 5-minute cool-down period. Jumping rope should be part of your daily routine, whether you're warming up or not. Start off with at least 10 minutes per day until you get comfortable with it. Then you can increase your time. Weight training is another way to increase your strength for kickboxing. I recommend that you find a good weight trainer or check out some weightlifting books at your local library. When developing a personalized program, it is important to remember that you must stay at your level. If you make the program too difficult or time-consuming, you're not going to achieve your personal goals. Be disciplined. If you say that you're going to work out 2 or 3 days a week, try to meet that goal. If you can do more, great. But always be disciplined in your training because that will make you disciplined in the ring and in life. I want to stress that the most important thing about becoming a good kickboxer is practice, practice, and more practice. All of the skills and techniques presented in this video are necessary and required if you want to become a great kickboxer or just get in great shape. Please don't watch this video once and try to become a great kickboxer. Keep in mind that all great artists, authors, and athletes did not achieve instant success. Watch this video over and over and try to pick out the little things that will help you become a great kickboxer. Good basics are the key and the foundation to a skilled fighter. Without these, you're just another Joe Smo who thinks he's a good fighter. Most of all, get out there and have fun with these drills. If kickboxing was boring, nobody would learn it. Thank you very much for watching. Now get off your butt and get to work.